Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a guide for round 7 of the Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup taking place at Mount Panorama with the 2021 GR86. So let's get this started by mentioning that Amelie Sports soft tires and brake balance is a +1 for a bit more rotation. And one last thing is that when you do the race on these sports hard tires, you will need to brake a bit earlier and now have that noted down on the left side of the screen. But let's get this started by mentioning that you want to brake just after you pass the 100-meter board, and there are multiple braking points that you can use in case that 100-meter sign is knocked out, so I have them highlighted right here. So you brake hard for a short moment and you want to gradually ease on over from the braking to the throttle, and you want to take advantage of the full width of the track to try to get a fast, clean exit. And in time trial and qualifying, you want to be revving the heck out of this car, so you want to be using as much revs as you can, shifting just before you hit the rev limiter. Stay on the left side of the track, and your next braking point is this path that is on the left. Brake hard for a short moment, go down to third gear, ease off the brakes, and carefully get on the throttle to make sure that the car doesn't start to step out. Then bring yourself towards the right, take this left turn flat out, but as soon as you reach this shadow, that is where you want to start to brake. Use lots of braking control and be careful to not bring yourself too much to the right side of the track. Stay on third gear and ease on the throttle to try to maintain as much speed as possible. Bring yourself towards the left and use the happy little tree on the left as your turning point. Make sure you wave high to it, take this right turn flat out, and you can actually take most of these turns flat out. So this left turn, take it flat out. This next left turn, you want to do a little lift off of a throttle to try to make sure that the car doesn't touch the grass. So you can see me just doing a little lift off of a throttle to help it rotate a bit more. And then here comes the tricky part. Your braking point is before you pass the Audi R8 sign. Use lots of braking control as you go down the hill, and when you're going in a straight line, that is where you want to be using 100% braking power. Just try to slow yourself down enough to try to hug the right side of the wall. Lift off of the throttle as you make this left turn. Use a little bit of braking if necessary, and then gun it down the hill. Then as you make the right turn, you want to use a bit more braking control, so slowly ease onto the brakes, and as this turn ends, that is where you start to apply full braking power. So just as the wall on the right turns blue. So full braking power, bring yourself all the way to the left side of the track, hugging the inside wall, and you want to get on the throttle as soon as you can. So let's go ahead and fast forward through all of this because you're going flat out. This right turn, take it flat out, but then brake just after you pass the 200-meter board. There is the start of the grass on the left in case that sign is knocked out. So you want to brake right around here, brake hard for a short while, and take advantage of the curves. So you want to be pretty aggressive on the throttle as soon as you hit the apex. Then bring yourself towards the right for the final braking point, which is going to be the 100-meter board. And on these sports soft tires, you want to brake just after you pass it. This is a bit similar to the first turn where you want to brake hard for a while and gradually ease on over to the brakes. But that is pretty much it for the lap guide. You're going to go ahead and see me celebrate as I get a 2:31 because it took about an eon to get that time. But anyways, moving on over to the qualifying session. You'll have 5 minutes to try to get a good qualifying time, which means that you're only going to have one chance to get a good qualifying time. So I would highly suggest qualifying far away from everyone, so that way you can minimize the risk of getting interrupted by anyone, because the last thing you want is to be on a really good qualifying lap and then have to slow down because someone got in your way. So I would suggest either, if you can, try to exit first and get away from everyone, or just wait it out in the pit stops. Just wait it out there for a while, wait until everyone is already out, and give yourself plenty of space between yourself and the next car so that you don't have to face the risk of getting interrupted by them. And as you do your outlap, You can move the brake balance at +5 or 5 to the rear to try to save those front tires, and just take your time doing your out lap. Just make sure that there's still enough time for you to be able to cross the finish line so that you can start your actual qualifying lap. And as you're about to start your qualifying lap, you can then bring the brake balance towards the usual value. So for me, I have the brake balance at +1 for the qualifying session. And after that, you pretty much just go flat out as fast as you can. And yeah, we're just going to go ahead and do our lap uninterrupted because there was no one in front of me, so I don't have to worry about slowing myself down. And at the end, I'm going to end up getting a high 232. So once you start your qualifying lap, just focus down on the track and just try to nail down every single turn. And that's pretty much it for the qualifying session, but I do want to note that after the qualifying session ends, if you're planning on starting on the sports hard tires, go to driving options, change the front tires first, and then change the rear tires second. And you can also do this through the car settings where you're pretty much doing the same thing. Change the front tires first and then change the rear tires second. So this will be useful if you're starting in the back and want to do the reverse version of the one stop, or if you want to go for a zero stop. And actually, let's go ahead and take a look at the strategies now. So we are doing 9 laps at Mount Panorama, and this is a one-make race with the new Toyota GR86. This is a great start, so bring the traction control to 1, and shortly after the race starts, you can then bring it back down to 0 or whatever value you normally have it set to. And whether you're doing a 1 stop or 0 stop, bring the brake balance all the way to the back of the car, so I'm talking +4 or even +5, because the front tires on the GR86 wear out significantly faster than the rear tires. Fuel is a ×4, and fuel is actually an issue, but luckily you don't have to do too much fuel saving. Pretty much just don't over rev the car and you should be fine. So you pretty much want to shift just as the bar starts to blink, and you're looking at using 11% of fuel per lap. So use the multifunction display. It's located on the lower right hand corner of the screen, and switch it on over to fuel map so you can get an idea of how you're doing in terms of fuel. Once again, 11% of fuel per lap. As long as you're using 11% or less per lap, then you should be good. Now the main issue here is tire wear. Tire wear is a ×15. All sports tires are available, but only the sports hard tires are required. So it's pretty much going to be coming down to a 1 stop where you do sports soft tires and switch on over to the sports hard tires, or go for a 0 stop on the sports hard tires. If you're doing a 1 stop, you pretty much want to stay on the sports soft tires for 8 laps and then change on over to the sports hard tires at the end of lap 8. And with the sports soft tires, you're lapping around 2 to 3 seconds per lap faster, but as the tire wear kicks in, that lap time gap is going to gradually decrease. And because you're using up quite a bit of fuel, the tire wear will be able to last 8 laps. So let's go ahead and take a look at the end of lap 8. So I've been on the soft tires for 8 laps. You can see how much tire wear the front tires have. And we're going to go on over to the pit stop. Make sure you brake a bit early because you don't want to overshoot the braking point and miss the pit stop entry. So we have enough fuel to be able to finish the race, so fuel is not an issue because I've been shifting as the bar fills up. And here is the main issue with the 1 stop. It's going to take about 1 trillion years to enter the pit box. We're 18 seconds in and we still haven't entered the pit stop yet. Lamb has already passed me and he's doing the 0 stop strategy. It took me 26 seconds to enter the pit box, change on over to the sports hard tires, and we're out of the pit stop. And we're going to end up losing 21 seconds because Lamb was about 13 seconds behind when I pitted in, and pitting out, he is now about 8 seconds ahead of me. So you pretty much need to be lapping 2.6 seconds or more per lap faster on the sports soft tires compared to the sports hard tires. and you need to do that for 8 laps to be able to cancel out the pit loss. So it's going to be very difficult to try to cancel out that pit loss, and if you're not able to do it, then you're going to get left behind by those who are no stopping on the sports hard tires. So Lamb did a 0 stop, so I'm going to be taking note of his time as well. He ended up with a 23 minutes and 32 seconds, and I'm going to end up with a 23 minutes and 41 seconds. So his time was on a 0 stop, my time was on a 1 stop. So let's go ahead and switch the roles this time. Lamb is now doing a 1 stop, I'm doing the 0 stop. So brake balance is a +5 because I really need to save those front tires this time since I'm not planning on stopping. And I'm going to show my fastest lap because in the sports hard tires, you need to brake a bit earlier than you think. So for example, first turn, you're braking just after the 100-meter board, and you'll need to brake a lot earlier, especially for the harder braking points. So I'll have that noted down for you. But make sure you spend a bit of time on these sports hard tires because this car handles very differently on these sports hard tires. It can be very easy to be inconsistent with it, so you want to get some practice down on these sports hard tires as well. This time, you're braking just as the path on the left starts instead of in the middle of the path on the sports soft tires, and you need to be a lot more careful through here because you don't have as much grip on the sports hard tires. Especially on the cutting, which is this left turn, you need to be a lot more careful. Very easy to end up going too far to the right and ending up on the wall. So you want to be a lot more careful when you're on these sports hard tires, because if you're not careful, then you'll easily be sliding around and losing lots of time, or even just overshooting the turns and end up hitting walls or going off track. This left turn coming up right here, you want to be a bit more careful going off of throttle as the car is a bit more understeery. Brake a bit earlier, going downhill, very easy to lose control, so you want to be extra careful going down the hill. Nice and easy, just take it nice and easy as you go down the hill. You don't want the car to start to slide around too much. Brake as you go through forced elbow. Very easy to overshoot this turn, so you want to brake a bit earlier. And I'll be skipping over towards the chase. You need to brake even earlier for this turn compared to your braking point on these sports soft tires. So on these sports hard tires, brake at the 200-meter board. So you're braking around 25 meters earlier than on these sports soft tires. And don't forget, I'm still on +5 brake balance to try to save the front tires. And for the final turn, you're braking right at the 100-meter board. So this should give you an idea about how much earlier you need to brake when you're on these sports hard tires, because basically driving on the sports hard tires, it's almost as if you're driving a different car compared to driving this car on these sports soft tires. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the very final lap. Lamb eventually went on over to pit for the sports hard tires because he was on the soft tires, and he was around 22 seconds ahead, and he's going to lose those 21 seconds. So now he's pitting out about 1 second ahead of me, so he lost a lot of time going on over from the sports soft tires to the sports hard tires. And at the end of the day, the 0 stop is going to be faster. So it's going to be a little close, but overall speaking, the 0 stop is faster. So Lamb in the 1 stop got a 23 minutes and 35 seconds. So his 0 stop was about 3 seconds faster than the 1 stop. With my run, I got a 23 minutes and 37 seconds on the 0 stop. So my 0 stop was 4 seconds faster than the 1 stop. However, even though the 0 stop is faster overall, I do feel like that because of how difficult this track is and how difficult it is being on these sports hard tires, it might be possible in the lower level lobbies to potentially get away with a 1 stop. So if you're going for a 1 stop, no matter what, make sure you have the brake balance towards the back of the car, so +5. to make these sport soft tires last 8 laps, and don't forget to pit on over to change to the sports hard tires. But the one stop is still going to be a huge gamble, because if someone in your race is able to nail down the zero stop strategy on these sports hard tires, then they could potentially pass you as you pit on over to change tires. So this is pretty much a zero stop race, especially in the higher level lobbies. In the lower level lobbies, one stop might be possible, but you need to get a perfect run in case anyone in your race is attempting the zero stop. Even then, the one stop is still a huge gamble. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at places to overtake and the penalty serving zone. With these slower cars, it is possible to get a couple more overtakes done, especially as we go through Hell Corner. So Hell Corner, first corner, it is possible to get an overtake done. And here comes the first big place to potentially get an overtake done, especially with the use of slipstream. The first penalty serving zone is also hanging out over here in the middle of the mountain straight. So if you have a penalty to serve, you will be losing a lot of time, so try not to get any sort of penalties. And as soon as you make this right turn, it's going to become a lot more difficult to try to get any sort of overtaking done. So you're pretty much going to be in a single file line for quite a while, with the exception being the cutting. So it's going to be this left turn right here, because you have to go a bit wide to enter the cutting. It is possible for someone to try to sneak and overtake through there, so just be aware of that. But other than that, it's pretty much going to be single file line for quite a while until we reach the back straight. So Conrad straight, it is possible to get an overtake done, especially with the use of slipstream. And the final penalty serving zone is hanging out over here on or in the middle of Conrad straight. So if you have a penalty to serve, you'll be losing a lot of time here. So with the use of slipstream, it is possible to get an overtake done until we reach the chase. So we're going to be braking hard for a while over here. Hopefully you got the overtake done by then. And as we go through the final corner, that is going to be our last place to get an overtake done, although it is going to be a bit more situational. And I do want to note that because this is a one make and because of how Mount Panorama is, it is going to be very difficult to get an overtake done. So you want to try to make sure you get a good qualifying time to qualify as high up as possible, so that you don't have to worry too much about battling your way up the positions. But anyways, that's all from me. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. I'd like to thank you guys for the support, my channel members, the viewers, and Playseat for supporting this channel. So that's all from me. I'm going to sign off now. So this is Mr. CA. Wish you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.